It's Dorothy Gonning with Scrapbooking Quebec. Today I'm here for the Scrapbook Nerd online shop, and I'm going to be creating a Chester page. He's my cat. There's going to be lots of paper layers. I dig into my stamps and dies, and I do encounter a few problems along the way. I think they're pretty common problems though, so I will show you how I wiggle my way out of them. And you're about to see what I'm going to be using. I have leftovers from Bella Boulevard's Chloe collection. It's a cat themed collection. And here are the tools I'm going to be using. So most of them are from Elizabeth Craft Designs. Those alphas are from Lawn Fawn. And I'll talk more about these products throughout the process. And I'll put a link to the shop, the Scrapbook Nerd, as well as all the products I'm using in the description box below. So here's what's on my desk, and I prepared a frame style foundation with 3 sheets of paper in advance, and I did gut 2 of the papers. There is a tutorial on my channel where I do that, so that will be linked up below as well. I'm just showing you the paper that I gutted from behind my foundation page. I do have 3 photos. I printed them at 3.5 by 5, but those get trimmed down a little bit later on. And I'm showing you the papers that I've selected. Now I only have 2 full sheets and I have some scraps. I also have another handful of scraps that I have handy on my desk. I always save everything until I've completely killed a collection because you never know. Collections always coordinate. I might need just a little piece of something. I'm also showing you this cardstock metallic paper book from Tim Holtz, and I'm going to be using the silver paper out of that. I do have a tray handy. I have some embellishments in there, but I end up making most of my embellishments for this particular layout. And I'm also showing you my Creative Memories corner rounder because the white part of the foundation page, I rounded the corners. So the first thing I'm going to do is start cutting down layers. And I'm going to cut into these 2 large sheets. I will put measurements on the screen. And then what I'll do is I'll end up getting out my Big Shot, creating more layers. Now I like to create layers on a layout when I'm using a collection that's nearing the end, because when you're creating layers on the layout, you have to be okay with wasting paper, so to speak, for lack of a better term, because when you're layering, you're putting paper one on top of the other. So some of it ends up getting hidden. And if you like the layered look, you kind of have to be okay with that. So that's why I find if I'm getting towards the end of a collection, I like using the layers. I feel less guilty about hiding the papers. I just showed you 2 die sets from Elizabeth Craft Designs. They're both part of the Planner Essential series. Each one of them has a planner page. That's what you see me cutting out right now. And each one of them has their own unique accessories, but each one of the planner pages are a bit different too. The one I'm cutting out now, I'm actually cutting out 3 of them. The tab is on the side if you're looking at the page vertically, and the other planner page that I'm going to be showing you in a moment, the tab for that one is on the top. So what I'm doing is the one with it on the side, I'm cutting out 3 of them, and I'm going to be using them as layers. I'm going to be layering them up one in front of the other, almost like they're in a filing cabinet. And then I won't make you watch me cut out a 4th planner page, but with that other die set with the tab on the top, I end up cutting out another one. That's what I'm about to do right now. But then you're going to see I have all my pieces on the table in front of me. So I'm showing you how I plan to place them. So I'm putting the 2 larger pieces there, then I'm going to layer up those planner pages like a filing cabinet. I'm going to take this other one here. I end up cutting it in 2. It's another thing you can do when you're layering. Because it's going to be hidden, I cut it to make it look like that planner page is actually longer than it is. Now those photos end up getting trimmed down, but I'm giving you an idea how I plan to place them. What I'm going to do right now is take out that first die set, the one I cut out 3 planner pages with. In that there is a frame. So I'm going to cut out 3 frames in this metallic paper. I only do 2 on camera, but I'm just giving you an idea how it works. It cuts out very well, of course. And I end up cutting them out, you're going to see there's kind of a stitched edge around the opening of the frame, and at the bottom of the frame, there's like an embossed stitched block as well. So I cut out two, and at this point I realize I need more of that metallic paper because, again, that is definitely a kind of paper I save every scrap of. So I cut myself out a third one, and I'm showing you how I cut out a word from the block at the bottom of that frame. This die set also comes with a bunch of different words, and you can see I've already done it with two of the frames, and now I'm positioning another one. This one here has a heart and then says the word this, and it looks really, really cute. So you can kind of see it there. I'm kind of sped up, but you will definitely see it better a bit later on. Now I have my three photos. Now the frame itself measures 3 by 4. So that's basically what I cut my photos, 3 by 4. But you may notice two of them there, there's almost like a little white edge. Each one of those photos I backed in a piece of cardstock that measures 3 by 4. And because one of the photos, the one I'm working with right now, if I had positioned it 3 by 4, like from the real edge of the photo, I would have cut off part of Chester's ear. So what I did was I cut out a piece of cardstock, made my photo actually a little bit smaller, positioned the photo on top of that cardstock, and then put my frame on top of it. But the part that was white was hidden behind the frame. So you didn't notice it was white and you see the photo. I hope that makes sense. Basically, I did it so that the photo would look proper behind the frame. So you can see that I framed all three photos. This is how I plan to set up my page. It's just at this point, I'm feeling like the cat's head paper is just a bit too hidden. And I'm wondering, maybe that yellow paper would look nicer on top and the cat paper nicer underneath. The problem is I already cut into these papers. The yellow one's okay because it's big. I can trim that one down. But the cat paper is already too small. So anyway, by positioning the other piece of the cat paper underneath, I'm just trying to figure out here, do I prefer it with the cat head paper underneath? And indeed, I do. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm taking this paper, I'm trying to line up the cat's head because they're almost in rows. And when I feel like I have it positioned properly, I flip over the paper. I'm adding a bit of adhesive just to hold it in place. Then I'm taking this tear and tape and I'm literally putting a strip right along the seam. I've done this so many times, it's almost like it mends the paper together. You can see it if you look real hard, but really it's not bad at all. So now I have a bigger piece of paper suddenly, and I'm trimming this paper down so that it's the proper size. And for the yellow one, I'm just going to cut it down smaller, no big deal, it was big enough. So once again, I positioned all the papers on the page. I'm happy with that. They're not adhered at this point, but what you see me doing is coming in with a pencil, simply because there are a lot of layers here, and I want to adhere it to the page, and I want to remember the positioning of these papers. So basically what I did on the white paper, I put a pencil mark in the corners where the cat paper should be placed. On top of the cat paper, I put a pencil mark where the yellow paper should be placed. And I did the same thing with the file folders that are over on the left, or that will be over on the left. That way, when it comes time to adhering all of the pieces to the page, I have a good idea of where I want them to go. I've already made that decision, so I don't want to be removing everything from the page and then forgetting where I liked them positioned on the page. It just saves a lot of time, and then you come in and erase the little pencil marks, and that's that. So you can see now I'm adhering everything to the page. I do adhere the photos to the page. I'm happy with it at this point, but I do encounter a few more problems. This also happens when you're simply creating a page, because what I found in this particular one, I'm liking it as I go along, but then I'm thinking, I'm questioning my decisions essentially. So I have my photos all adhered to the page. I know where my journaling is going to go, which is on that vertical planner page that you see tucked behind the photos. But now I have to place my title. So I'm showing you these dies from Lawn Fawn. They are called Oliver Stitched dies. And what I did off camera was I cut out my title with my Big Shot. It's Chester's Lair because he's in my scrap room up above on a cabinet watching me while I scrapbook in these photos. Speaking of Chester, he has just arrived on my screen. Anyway, I cut out each one of the letters with those dies, and then each one of those letters is layered up with 2 layers of cardstock. So it's kind of like I created my own thicker. Those letters are just a little bit thick. So I'm adhering them with the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, which everybody and their dog has, and I've had it in my scrap room, but I've never seemed to use it, and I really do like it. The placement of these letters is pretty easy, I must say, simply because I'm following along the straight edge of that paper. So I started by adhering my title on the far left, Chester's, but for the second word, I started it on the far right. That way I could control where my title begins and where it ends. I will end up adding a little embellishment in between the 2 words and an apostrophe in the word Chester's. Now I'm getting out my stamps, and these are 2 stamp sets by Elizabeth Craft Designs. I absolutely love them. One of them is retro label stamps, and the other one is called Destination Phrases, and I absolutely love both of these. So what I'm doing right now is stamping out some of those retro labels, and I'm using an ink color called Misty Moonlight or something it's basically a dark gray by Versifying Claire. It's one of them I really, really like. And I'm stamping out the labels, and then I'm going to go into those destination phrases, but they really are very general. Tons of fun words in here. So I end up doing a few of them. One is the good life. I do hashtag love this, and I also have heart this place. But this stamp set is full of lots of fun, very versatile phrases. I absolutely love it. My idea here is to cut out these labels and place them along that vertical planner page. And you may notice the one with love this, the largest label there, I stamped towards the top because I have very little journaling on this page actually. So I just plan to do a little bit of it underneath the word love this. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of letting my stamps do my journaling for me, which is not something I usually do. I am a journaler, but in this case, it's just Chester in my scrap room, so I don't have a whole lot to write about it. So you can see there, I fussy cut my labels, and I have them kind of positioned along that vertical planner page. The one at the bottom there, I end up trimming it and having it kind of bleed off the page, and the other ones are tucked under the photos on the right hand side. I'm liking this, but not liking this at this point, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Now it's time to come in and do some more finishing touches. I had the sticker sheet out for a minute. I put it away, and now I'm going into this sticker book, a metallic sticker book from Tim Holtz, and I'm just looking for a few words. I'm looking for something quite short because those planner tabs are quite short. And there are some short words in there, but I end up going with a longer one that says make today count, and you see me cutting out the words. So basically along those 3 file tabs, you can kind of read down words, make today count. And then I find another one that goes in that planner page up at the top of the page. But I'm kind of starting to not like my page here, or how should I put it? It's more like I feel like it's missing bite. Anyway, I'm tucking in a few embellishments. I find this orange cat that's part of the ephemera pack that I still have left, and I tuck that cat underneath the photo, kind of in and among those file tabs, and I'm happy with that. I find the file tab at the top of the page is kind of lost, so I tuck in a flower behind that. And I also have these epoxy shapes, they're hearts from this collection, so I put that in between the 2 words in the title and popped it up on foam adhesive. but I'm still feeling that my page is missing something. So I'm showing you my ink and my ink applicator. And I'm thinking at this point, maybe I should have inked my layers because I have so many layers going on here. Typically, I don't ink the edges of my pages, but sometimes when you're doing a lot of layers, it really can help. So what I'm going to do, and I don't do this on camera, mostly because I'm scared I'm going to ruin my page, but I'm showing you how I'm going to do it. Basically, I'm taking the layers, carefully lifting them up, and then what I'll do is come in and apply some ink. And I'm only doing it to the lighter pages. I don't do it to those file tabs. So I end up doing that there. So you can see I'm not really heavy on the ink, but I did do some inking. I also did a few other changes. Number one, if you look at the photos, you can see today, this, and noted all have yellow backed behind it. I felt my page was missing something. I took some of that cardstock that was from behind the foundation page, just cut a little piece of it and slipped it in between the frame and the photo. And I find it really attracts more attention to the photo, so I'm much happier with that. You also may notice that my vertical planner page, which was kind of a gray, is now in a graph paper, and it's actually a scrap from this Chloe collection. I felt that by adding a bit of white behind there, I was once again adding a little bit more emphasis to my photos. I was happy with that. And so what I did, because this was white, instead of stamping on top of white paper, I just quite literally stamped those labels and the words right on that planner page. And I'm really happy with it, especially under Love This, because it is on graph paper. I could do my journaling very easily. There were lines there already. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the Scrapbook Nerd YouTube channel, we would be absolutely thrilled if you did. Also, don't forget to check out the shop. They are getting new stuff all the time, especially at this time of year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.